Good morning. I'd like to thank everybody for their time and for joining us. We are doing a classroom version of a grocery tour that we typically perform at ShopRite at the Belmar location. My name is Roshni Patel. I am a breast surgical oncologist and the director of the breast program at Jersey Shore University Medical Center, Hackensack Medical Center. Joining me today are Allison Sabio, who is a registered diet technician who also is a great asset to the store. She's available when people come in the store and they have questions about different items they should avoid or what's good for them. And I also have the pleasure of having Madison Shank join me. She is one of our registered dietitians at Hackensack, Meridian, Jersey Shore University Medical Center. She's been a huge asset to our oncology patients, and we've been collaborating as we help our patients that are undergoing breast cancer treatment. And then we have a table with an array of items set up so we can show you what we like to share with our patients, and then we'll do a quick walk through some of our favorite sections in the store.
Hi everyone, my name is Madison Shank, and I'm one of the outpatient oncology dietitians at the Hope Tower at Jersey Shore. Some of you may know me from treatment, but for those of you who don't, hello and welcome. I've had the pleasure of working with Allison and Dr. Patel to implement these grocery store tours to help educate a growing number of patients. So it is very exciting to be partnering with Susan G. Komen today. As a dietitian, I find that the grocery store is one of the best places to educate my patients, as it works as a real-world classroom. While I don't think this will be the most riveting part of our discussions today, I think it is one of the most important and fundamental things we will cover, which is how to read a nutrition facts label. Learning how to interpret the nutrition facts label can help you make better food choices for you and your family for years to come. I'm going to share some highlights about the food label, not only to help you navigate them, but to help you use them more effectively in achieving a healthy diet. Recently, the food label has been updated to provide individuals with more useful information, which is a little easier to interpret than the 1990s version. So in efforts to make this exercise a little bit more enjoyable, I have put some pairs of similar food items on your tables so that we can simulate what it is like to make healthier choices in the food store. All right, now that we have all of our products, you'll notice that on both labels, and all nutrition labels for that matter, you'll find serving size, number of servings, number of calories per servings, as well as information about our 3 macronutrients: carbohydrates, protein, and fat, as well as nutrients such as fiber, sodium, and potassium, just to name a few. The updated label design uses larger and bolder type at the top to emphasize calories and serving size information. So let's start right at the top with the serving size information. Take a look at the number of servings in the package and the serving size. Serving sizes are standardized to make it easier to compare similar foods by familiar units, such as cups or pieces. Serving sizes have also recently been updated to better reflect the amount that people typically eat or drink. It's important to note that serving size is just a reference point, and it is not a recommendation for how much we should eat or drink. However, you can use this reference point to estimate the number of calories and nutrients you actually eat by multiplying or dividing the information based on your estimated portion size in relation to the serving size. Calories. Calories are a measure of how much energy you will get from the selected food. To achieve and maintain a healthy body weight, a balance between the number of calories that you eat and drink and the number of calories your body uses. 2,000 calories a day is used as a guide for general nutrition advice. Your calories needs may be higher or lower and vary depending on your age, height, sex, weight, physical activity, and even something like a cancer diagnosis. Calories are a little like gas in the car. They provide energy and keep us fueled. Unlike the car, though, your body stores energy by creating fat if calories are taken in excess. For most people, 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day will keep you at a steady weight. If you're looking to lose or gain weight, you might begin to increase or decrease your calories by 100 calories per day, which could result in a 10-pound gain or loss, respectively, over a year's time. Whether you're looking to gain, lose, or maintain a healthy weight, sometimes it can be helpful to measure your portions from time to time to see how many calories your desired portion actually is. Again, remember the serving size of the product is not a recommendation, and it's important to feel satisfied by your meal and snack portions. Everyone has different calorie needs. Try to practice mindful eating by listening to your body's inner hunger and satiety cues with every meal and snack, which can help you determine when you're feeling full and when you're getting hungry. If you're trying to plan for meals and snacks throughout the day, as a general rule for that 2,000 calorie diet, estimate that snacks should be about 10% of your calorie needs for the day, or about 200 calories. Whereas meals could be up to 30% of your calorie needs for the day, or about 600 calories. Another important tool in the nutrition facts label, if you guys could take a look, underneath the calories is the percent daily value. The percent daily value serves as a guide to how many key nutrients there are in a serving of food that contributes to your daily diet. This was developed specifically for use on food labels and is based on the RDA, or recommended dietary allowances. Daily values are expressed as a percentage of recommended intakes for a 2,000 calorie diet. The percent daily value helps you determine if a serving of food is high or low in a nutrient. Consider the 5-20 rule. A percent daily value that is less than or equal to 5% is considered low in that specific nutrient, whereas a percent daily value greater than or equal to 20% is considered high. By the end of this lesson, I hope you'll be able to identify the product of your pair that make the healthier dietary choice. Okay, so back to our overview. More often, choose foods that are higher in percent daily value for the nutrients that Americans tend to fall short on, including fiber, vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium, and foods that are lower in percent daily value for the nutrients that Americans tend to overeat, including saturated fat, sodium, and added sugars. Now let's skim through the nutrients listed on the label, starting with fat. Grams per gram, fat is more than double the calories than that of grams per carbohydrate and protein. Fat takes longer to digest and will keep you feeling full for longer periods of time. Choose foods that are higher in heart-healthy, unsaturated fats that tend to come from plant sources and are liquid at room temperature. These types of fats can have anti-inflammatory effects and improve cholesterol levels. That being said, saturated fat, as previously mentioned, is a nutrient we want to get less of in the diet, because at room temperature, these solid fats in excess can lead to elevated cholesterol and heart disease. So if we're following that 2,000 calorie diet, our goal is to get less than 10% of our calories from saturated fat, which is about a maximum of about 20 grams per day. Next, we see cholesterol on the label. However, serum or blood cholesterol is not affected by intake of dietary cholesterol as much as it is affected by intake of saturated and trans fats, as well as added sugars in the diet. So this is not something we want to focus too heavily on. Take eggs and shellfish, for example. These excellent protein sources have been long touted to have high cholesterol content. However, they are both low sources of saturated fat and contain no added sugars depending on preparation. So therefore, should not be avoided. As we keep scrolling, we see sodium on the label. Most of us get plenty of sodium in the diet, more than double the RDA, which can increase water retention, blood pressure, and risk of osteoporosis, among other things. Use the percent daily value to help you make choices with less sodium compared to other products. Under sodium, we will see carbohydrates. What I love about the new label is that it specifies how many grams of added sugars are in a specific product. Because naturally occurring sugars and added sugars act differently in the body, this is an important piece of information. Naturally occurring sugar doesn't need to be avoided and is usually bound to fiber, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, whereas added sugars provide little nutritional value. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans 2020 to 2025 recommend that Americans age 2 or older should limit added sugar intake to less than 10% of our total calories. For that 2,000 calorie diet, that translates into 200 calories from added sugars, or 50 grams per day. In an attempt to slow the obesity and heart disease epidemics, the American Heart Association takes it even a step further by recommending that women don't exceed 24 grams of added sugar per day and men 32. So Allison was kind enough to have these bags here for me, and 6 teaspoons. Each teaspoon is about 4 grams of added sugar. So this is the amount that a woman should have in a day, or should try and limit to in a day. So 6 teaspoons equals that 24 grams. And then if we add another 2 teaspoons, this together with the 6 is going to be the amount that maybe a man should try to limit their added sugars to throughout the day, which is that 32 grams. Awesome. Thank you, Allison. Aside from added sugars, dietary fiber is another important detail under the carbohydrate heading. Higher fiber foods are going to keep us feeling satisfied, stabilize our blood sugars, and have a positive effect on our cholesterol levels. Foods with higher fiber contents are going to be a better choice compared to similar products with less fiber. Shoot for a minimum of 25 to 30 grams of fiber each day, but work up to this goal slowly if you are getting much less. Finally, on the label, we will see protein. Protein, again, will slow digestion and keep us feeling satisfied following a meal or snack. Adequate protein helps our bodies to rebuild and repair our tissues constantly. Most Americans get plenty of protein, so don't worry too much about counting protein grams. What will be important, though, is making sure that you're getting a protein source with each meal and snack to help promote satiety. Protein can be found in animal and plant sources such as beef, poultry, fish, shellfish, beans, nuts, and seeds. Okay, and so for the second part of that nutrition facts label, we're going to see the list of ingredients. The ingredients list really tells us what is in the food product that we're eating. The ingredients are listed in order of prominence, with the ingredients used in the greatest amounts first, followed in descending order by those in smaller amounts. The ingredients list must include any ingredient in the product, with special attention to those on the list of top 8 allergens, including milk, eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, wheat, soy, fish, and shellfish. Okay, wow, let's just take a breather because I just talked for a long time about the nutrition facts label. And if you guys could just open up your resource folders to just kind of take out this. My last topic I'd like to briefly cover is the MyPlate and the American Institute of Cancer Research's New American Plate models. Both the New American Plate and MyPlate are healthful eating guides based on evidence-based guidelines, which focus on getting a variety of fruits and vegetables, choosing mostly whole grains, and diversifying lean protein sources in the diet. Both models emphasize the importance of eating the rainbow, which to get a variety of vitamins, minerals, fiber, and phytonutrients, to prevent disease while recognizing the importance of lean protein sources in the diet. Even though we wish that all of our meals could be as balanced and delicious looking as the New American Plate model at the top, it is not necessary or even realistic for us to consume every food group at each meal. So think of this plate as an entire day's worth of eating and help it inspire you to keep your plates colorful. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Patel.
I'd like to thank the Susan G. Komen Foundation for allowing us to participate and give the classroom version of our grocery tour. They've been an incredible partner for all of the patients across the country, as well as Hackensack Meridian Health. My name is Roshni Patel. I'm the director of the breast program at Jersey Shore University Medical Center, Hackensack Meridian Health. I'm also a breast surgical oncologist. So today I'm just going to give a few tidbits that I like to share with my patients when they come into the office. A lot of these actually came from questions that arose when they would come in and they were reading about things. So first thing I'm going to touch base about is supplements. A lot of times people will come in and say, hey, Dr. Patel, I have this turmeric supplement or this mushroom supplement or elderberry supplement. And what I try to tell the patients, and what a lot of the dietitians will tell you, is that anytime you get something that's a vegetable or fruit in supplement form, you're not going to get the same benefit because everything is chemically modified to go into that pill form. And it's also not FDA approved. So I try to keep things pretty simple for my patients and just say a multivitamin with 18 milligrams of iron is the simplest thing. Believe it or not, our bodies only absorb 1 milligram of iron from those iron supplements. So in order to absorb a little bit more, it's important to take it with the source of vitamin C. So typically what I'll tell my patients is to usually use some V8 or fruit juice when they take that multivitamin with iron. Vitamin D and calcium are important for bone density. So for some reason, if your vitamin D levels are low and you're having some issues, you should be taking that. And if they're very low, your doctors will prescribe it for you. But normally it's about 1,000 international units. And then you need to take 600 milligrams of calcium with that. Fruits and vegetables are an incredibly important part of the plate, and Maddie has already introduced that to you. But there's several reasons. It's not only the vitamins and minerals that we find naturally in fruits and vegetables, but there's something called a polyphenol. So polyphenols are a substance. There's many different kinds. They're important with cardiovascular help. They may help with reducing issues with diabetes. There is a polyphenol called a phytoestrogen, which is found in soy. This has been very controversial because a lot of patients are told not to have soy in their diet. But actually, Japanese women eat a lot of soy in their diet and they have a lower incidence of breast cancer. Phytoestrogens are structurally similar to estrogen body, but they're not a steroid like an estrogen is. And actually, they may behave like a drug called tamoxifen in that they have the beneficial effects of estrogen, but actually reduce the risk of cancer, and not only breast cancer, but other cancers. So it's okay to have soy, but would I tell you to have a pound of soy a day? No, but just stick with a normal serving of it. And then also, vitamin C is important in wound healing, so a lot of fruits and vegetables have that. One thing that a lot of patients don't know is that you can use orange zest and lemon zest to help make your teas and things a little bit more interesting. Actually, the peel of those fruits has more vitamins and minerals and fiber than the actual fruit portion itself. But the problem is that those peels have pesticides and wax in them. So it's important to clean it properly. So you can use either vinegar and water. So the vinegar to water would be 1 cup of vinegar to 4 cups of water, or you can add 1 teaspoon of baking soda to 16 ounces of water. And then you soak your fruits and vegetables for 15 to 20 minutes. And again, these are going to be the fruits that have the peels on them. Maddie has already talked about fiber, and so generally we say 1-to-5 ratio. So for example, if there's 10 grams of carbohydrate, you'd like to see 2 grams of fiber on the label. This is important because another area that's being studied across many disciplines, including cancer, is the gut microbiome. So what is that? So there's certain bacteria in our digestive tract that process the foods that we eat. And what happens is, based on how they process the food, there may be some health benefits. Again, with regards to the heart, glycemic control for patients who are diabetic, and also reducing cancer. So we know that if your gut microbiome is good, you have a reduction in inflammation in the body by about 30%. Fiber acts as food for that bacteria. And where do you get this bacteria? From fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut. Some people like kombucha. So those are some good sources. People ask about sweeteners, and one thing that I try to tell patients avoid are the artificial sweeteners. And so those are in the pretty pastel packets. They're bad for your gut immune system, or that microbiome that I was talking about. And they tend to increase the cravings for sweet and other foods that are not good for us. So then as a result, we may gain weight or start having problems with things like diabetes. Sweeteners like stevia and monk fruit are considered natural. So that's one that I will say okay to. And then the next thing that I get asked about are the herbal supplements. So turmeric is being studied right now because it may be anti-inflammatory. And if you mix that with black pepper is thought to increase the benefit. But again, a lot of patients are taking this in pill form, and turmeric can actually decrease the beneficial effects of cancer treatment. So chemotherapy drugs may not be as effective. For those of you who may take a medication called tamoxifen, it may not be as effective in fighting cancer if you're taking a turmeric supplement. So again, we recommend getting that naturally in the diet. You can typically get it in powder form and no more than 1 teaspoon a day. Ginger is thought to help have a calming effect on the digestive tract. So for a lot of patients, it can help with nausea. It does have a sharp taste to it. So if you're not used to eating it, I would usually recommend starting with a powder. And then dill also has a calming effect. So some of my patients like to make tzatziki. You take cucumber and dill and you can add it to the yogurt. And so that's a good source of nutrition when you're undergoing treatment. Cinnamon, again, no more than 1 teaspoon a day. It's something that adds a nice flavor to a lot of desserts and teas and things. But again, that can cause liver toxicity if you eat too much every day. It's important to hydrate properly. So for a lot of my patients that are getting chemotherapy, they get dehydrated. Part of the reason is because they're drinking water, but they're not replacing electrolytes. So throwing up, if you have symptoms like diarrhea, you're also losing salt and you need to replenish that. So there's different ways you can do that. You can get a green tea, add some zest to the tea. Coconut water is another good resource. I will tell a lot of my patients to add cucumber or watermelon to their water with a little bit of mint. Mint also tends to calm the digestive tract. It's also important to get enough protein in the diet, and a lot of times you may not feel good. So if you are getting chemotherapy during your off weeks, eating more protein is good, and then trying to eat things that are a little bit more calming for your stomach are important. So when my patients are getting chemotherapy during the weeks that they're getting treatment, I tell them to stick with things like rice, yogurt, and bananas. It's generally a lot easier for them. And then on the weeks that they're off, try to get more protein in the diet because they'll be able to eat a little bit more and they're having less problems. I also now will turn the podium over to Allison Sabio, who's been kind enough to help us with our grocery tours at ShopRite.
Hi, everybody. My name is Allison Sabio. I'm a registered diet technician, and I work for Saker ShopRite. I've had the pleasure of working with Dr. Patel and Maddie in the past few months. We've been able to work with their patients and doing tours around the store. It's a great honor to work with them in Hackensack, Meridian Health, and also Komen as well. What I'm going to talk to you today about is some meal planning and shopping tips. Every day I'm always talking to customers and giving them ideas and suggestions on, better for you options around the store. And I've learned so much about it in regards to cancer patients and their treatment. So I'm very blessed to be able to get that knowledge from these two guys over here. So one of the first tips I would always want to tell somebody, especially if they're about to go for treatment, they know that for the next few days they may not feel very well or they may not have a lot of energy, is take time to plan to shop before that. Maybe the day or two before, when you have some time, carve a few hours out in your day, make your shopping list and plan to do some of that meal prep ahead of time. So that way you have less to worry about after the days of your treatment and you don't have to worry about doing so much around the house. I'm sure everybody has used Pinterest before, but it's a great resource in terms of looking for easy to make meals, like sheet pan meals. Usually it's pretty easy. You chop up a bunch of veggies, some potatoes, a protein. You can throw it on a sheet pan and you roast it off for a little while. And you've got easy prep there. Crock pot meals, if anybody has a crock pot. A lot of the options are for make-ahead freezer meal. So a lot of times, when people have a baby or they have a life event, people cook for them and they will give them ziti and lasagna. There's a lot of those healthier options out there though too. So that's a great idea to search for on the internet. Make something that you can prep and put half of it in the freezer and then half of it in the fridge. That way you have a little bit for later on too. A lot of times some people think that shopping in the center of the store, which is what we call the grocery aisles, is you're not going to find a lot of healthier options there. A lot of people say stick to produce, stick to the outer area of the store, but there's a lot of great items in those center aisles that are great to stock in your pantry and then also stock in your freezer and your fridge too. And there's always those healthier options to the versions that take more prep. So for instance, cooking beans from scratch takes a long time, especially if you're getting the dried ones. You have to soak them, cook them for a long time. But some of the options that we have here in ShopRite, and you'll find them at most of your grocery stores wherever you are located, is there will be, you can get obviously canned beans, you can get microwavable pouches. So those are great, especially if you're in a rush, you have no time. You stick it in the microwave and you're good to go. You just want to look for ones that are lower in sodium and don't have any extra ingredients added that you don't need. There's also things like that for rice, lentils as well. Easy to pop in the microwave and you don't have to worry about it. A couple other good staples for the pantry are nuts and seeds. Also oatmeal packets. Again, if you're used to cooking like steel cut oats, it takes a while. It takes like 25 minutes to cook steel cut oats. So you just want to look for those microwavable packets that don't have any added sugar. Because a lot of times ones with the flavors look great, but then you look and it's got 7, 8, 9 grams of added sugar and you want to eliminate that. There's simple ways to jazz it up a little. You can add cinnamon, you can add vanilla, a little bit of honey. That way you're controlling what you put in those oatmeal packets versus them giving it to you. A couple of other good options, especially in terms of like protein options. Sometimes if you're nauseous and you don't want to cook meat or you just don't even want to see meat at all, it's good to have some protein bars in the pantry. There's also those ready-to-drink protein shakes that you can get. Like Dr. Patel said, protein pasta is a go-to for anybody. It's easy. It usually cooks in a few minutes. You don't have to add an additional protein to it. You can toss it in a little bit of olive oil and throw in some cherry tomatoes and you have a meal. So it's quick and easy and you don't have to worry about taking anything out of the freezer to defrost or prep like that. A couple other good things to put in there are is canned fish you can have fish, and then also nut butters as well. Nut butters is a good one to add to your oatmeal. It adds a little bit of extra protein. You can swirl it in, and most people like peanut butter, so it's a good option. Now, going onto your fridge, there's a good assortment of items to stock in your fridge as well, especially if you're going to go for treatment and you're going to be pretty tired the next few days. Obviously, yogurt's a great one. Hummus and tzatziki, the doctor mentioned before, guacamole, if you like guacamole. All those have healthy fats in them. They have a little bit of carb and a little bit of protein. So you can almost use it as a good snack to hold you over, or if you are not feeling like a full meal, those are good options to just snack on throughout the day if you're not feeling like eating a lot either. And then finally, the freezer. The freezer gets the worst rep ever. People are like, frozen food is bad, frozen fruit, frozen veggies. It's really not. There are obviously some options that they will add a bunch of ingredients to that you want to stay away from, but a lot of times frozen fruit and frozen vegetables are picked and frozen immediately. So they almost are sometimes fresher and have more ingredients or more antioxidants, more benefits than some of the fresh, because if, let's say you're buying something that's out of season, you're buying a fruit that's out of season in the winter, they're likely getting it from somewhere farther away. So it goes through travel and packing and time in the truck and stuff like that. And it's obviously more expensive because of those reasons too. So if there's a fruit that you love and it's out of season, check the frozen aisle. Or if it's a fruit that's hard to prep or cut, like pineapple or mango, sometimes people are unsure of how to cut these and prepare those items. So as you can see on the table, we'll look at that later. There's fresh mango. There's also fresh edamame. Edamame is a great option too for snacking. We always talk about it on the tours. It's something that like some people aren't sure about, but it's a great protein option as well. And also frozen fruit is great for smoothies. If you like making smoothies, it's a really good way to get a lot of your nutrients for the day in that smoothie. There's frozen fruit that are great. You throw them in there. You add things like flaxseed, chia seed. You can add protein powder. You can add oats to it. You can add, instead of adding protein powder, you can also add yogurt, which will also make it more creamy as well. A good trick for making smoothies, because they are like labor intensive and nobody likes to clean the blender. But if you want to prep ahead of time, you can make like separate smoothie bags, or you can make it in a mason jar where you add your frozen fruit and you add all your dry ingredients. And then when you stick them in the freezer, so whenever you feel like a smoothie, dump it in the blender, add your milk, and that's it. You don't have to worry about getting all of those different ingredients out, measuring spoons or anything like that. You've done it all at one chunk of time, so it saves you time later too. Just a few more tips on meal prep. some things that are easy to cook in like large batches. So like chicken breast, you can buy the boneless, skinless chicken breast, throw them on a sheet pan, you put them in the oven, and then you can individually freeze them for later too. Again, something like that takes a lot of time, and like I don't always like prepping chicken, so I usually give it to my husband. Here, you do it, I'll eat it later. But in order to save yourself time, especially during the week, if you're working, coming home to prep all that is time consuming and you're tired. So like on Sunday or maybe Monday evening, throw a bunch in the oven, and then you can freeze them for later on down the road too. Same thing with like your veggies, your sweet potatoes and butternut squash. Brussels sprouts are a good one. They roast all about at the same time, so you can put them in there, and then you have a large batch throughout the week, because sometimes vegetables are like forgotten about. And like Maddie said, we need to eat more veggies. So the cutting and the prepping of them, peeling and cleaning seems like a lot, but if you do it all at one time, it makes your life easier too. A few other things, going back to produce, just some convenience items like to have on hand to help you get more veggie intake. Things like baby carrots, or we have like the individual pre-cut bags of cauliflower or cherry tomatoes. Those are good options to have in your fridge for quick snacks. Like I know people don't always think about veggies for snacks, but you pair it with hummus or the tzatziki, and it's a well-balanced little snack with protein and carbs and a little bit of fat, and you don't have to prep it. Obviously, you want to wash your veggies, rinse them off and everything like that, but they're good options to keep in the drawer in there for when you need something quick. Just a couple more things. Here at ShopRite, we are lucky to have beautiful hot bars where we have prepared foods. And for anybody that lives close to a ShopRite, you can come in and we have, pre-roasted chicken and vegetables that you guys sampled earlier. So that also makes life easier. You're after work or you're after treatment and you're like, oh, I need to eat, the family needs to eat, but you don't want to cook anything. Like those are obviously good options as well. And most ShopRites, most supermarkets have them, I should say. Also, use grocery delivery services. They're more popular nowadays. Most grocery stores have them. You can do your shopping from home, somebody brings it to your door, and it's there for you. So you don't have to worry about spending an hour walking around the grocery store as well. And then lastly, don't be afraid to ask a family member or friend for help if you are feeling too tired or you do not have the energy to prepare food. There's plenty of loved ones that will help you. So, thank you. So what I'm going to do now is show you guys some of the items that Dr. Patel, Maddie, and myself will show to the patients as we walk around the store. A couple of these items that we love, I mentioned during my talk, were these microwavable bags of rice and beans. Great options to get healthy carbohydrates and healthy proteins that don't require a lot of prep. Canned beets and canned beans are also great options to have in your pantry. Again, beets are hard to prepare. You have to clean them and cut them and prepare them in a specific way. So sometimes people that aren't into doing something with so much work would be more willing to try something that's already made for them as well. We talked about making smoothies. A couple of the things that I like to add to smoothies are a great protein powder. You could do plant-based, you can do a collagen protein, or you can do a whey-based if you're able to tolerate dairy. This is great because it's sweetened naturally as well. The other things you can add to your smoothie are peanut butter. It adds a little bit more protein, and most people do enjoy peanut butter. You have the flaxseed here, which is great, has a good source of omega-3s. And then you can actually also add almond flour. It seems a little weird, but since almonds are also a form of protein, and if you don't have protein powder, or it's usually something you may have in your pantry, you can add almond flour as well to your smoothies too. A good option for protein to have in your fridge is these great mozzarella sticks or cheese sticks. You can really do any cheese. You just want to watch the sodium if you're trying to watch your intake of sodium. Also, yogurt is a wonderful option. It's filled with prebiotics, probiotics, so it's great for your stomach and your gut health. You can use Greek or plain traditional yogurt as well. You just want to stick with something that's plain and avoid the added ones with added sugars or added fruit because typically it has a lot more sugar than you typically would need. So you can buy plain and add frozen fruit or fresh fruit. You can add vanilla or cinnamon to give it a little bit of a better taste as well. Another good option too is cottage cheese. A lot of people are weary of cottage cheese because it has a interesting texture, but it actually is a wonderful source of protein as well. Another good option for your pantry is a healthier snack or a better for you snack. A lot of times customers and patients, when I'm talking to them, will say, well, I need something to snack on, obviously, in terms of replacing chips or something like that. Lastly, bread, full of grains, full of fiber. It's a good option when you're looking for to make a sandwich, and it has less added sugar. Surprisingly, a lot of breads have added sugar to them or have high fructose corn syrup. So you would just want to check the label before buying your breads.
I'd like to highlight some things that we like to point out on the tour. First, we talked about hydration. So this is pomegranate juice and seltzer water. So if you like fizzy drinks, you can take 4 ounces of this and add it to 4 ounces of seltzer water. I didn't say it earlier, but pomegranate is actually being studied as it may help with memory issues. So they're actually doing studies in patients that have dementia and Alzheimer's. It's just a little interesting tidbit. This is one of my favorite types of things. It's a fruit bowl, but it has a nice mix of berries, pineapple, and other fruits. So this is something that's good to have on hand to snack at work. So sometimes I may have something like this with some cheese and crackers and some healthier nuts. Other ways to hydrate. This is black tea and this is green tea. Both are good for you as far as having antioxidants. Believe it or not, green tea and black tea are not from different plants. They're from the same plant. It's just that the black tea is oxidized and the green tea is not. And then white tea is just a younger tea leaf. So it's all the same thing, but a lot of people get confused and think that they're actually different types of tea. I like zucchini noodles because it's a good source of hydration. Sometimes when I make the protein pasta, I may mix it with something like zucchini noodles and a little bit of olive oil and some herbs and pepper and maybe a pinch of salt. These berries tend to be lower in natural sugar, but they are also higher in fiber and have more antioxidants than some of the other fruits that we eat. I tend to use blueberries in a lot of my smoothies. Tofu is another source of soy. Just remember that when you're getting tofu, it should be pressed or fermented. It's going to be more natural than some of the other processed soys. And then this is edamame, which is another good source of soy. I like to use this in salads, or I may take some shell pasta, make that, mix it with a little bit of edamame, some mango, and some of the purple onion in the summertime. It kind of makes a nice pasta salad, and it's packed with protein and nutrients. Avocado is a good source of fiber. Avocados, depending on their size, have anywhere from 9 to 14 grams of fiber. For those people who like guacamole, this is a good source of fiber, and it's also a good source of healthier fats in the diet. If you're feeling tired and you want to make something like a stir fry, one nice thing I like about this store is that they already have prepared vegetables, so it won't take very long for you to make a nice stir fry for yourself. This is coconut water, which again, if you're not feeling too good or if you're feeling dehydrated, this is another good source of electrolytes. The parsley and dill are some of my favorite herbs. I like to mix this with yogurt and make tzatziki. One little trick that I've learned is they do have baked chicken at ShopRite, which they've already cut into little pieces. It doesn't have any salt or anything. Yogurt is a great tenderizer, so if you mix these with some yogurt and a little bit of salt, you can add that to the chicken and either cook it in the skillet or bake it again. But again, if you're tired and if you're not feeling good, that's another good way to cook something quickly that's nutritious. This is ginger in its root form, and again, for those of you who are not used to eating it, you can also get it in the powdered form. My family tends to grate these ahead of time. We use it in a lot of our tea and soup recipes. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll grate this and then we freeze it. So it's on hand because we use it a lot in our cooking. And we do the same with turmeric. This is turmeric in its root form. And again, just remember, no more than 1 teaspoon a day if you're undergoing cancer treatment. We will now proceed downstairs where we will highlight some of our favorite things on the grocery tour. So we're gonna make a salad. So when I pick my salad greens, each salad green has different vitamins and nutrients, so I always try to pick a mix of things. So I don't just pick any one item. And believe it or not, if you were to look at any vegetable or fruit, lettuce is the most hydrating. So this is also a good way to hydrate yourself if you're feeling a little bit thirsty. We're gonna come around now and I'm gonna add some other vegetables to this. So peppers are very high in vitamin C, and I love all kinds of peppers, so I'm gonna just add a few of these. When I eat my salad, obviously I'll cut this into smaller pieces. Out of all the peppers, the yellow peppers have the highest amount of vitamin C in them. Rainbow slaw, again, this is a good source of vitamins. Chickpeas are an excellent source of protein and fiber. And I love olives. Kalamata olives are my favorite, but they have these, so I'm gonna just add a few green olives to my salad for flavor. As we discussed, olives also are healthy with regards to fats. They have some of those polyphenols that we were discussing earlier as well. So this is where we're at so far. I've just added the olives to this. Beets are also a good source of iron. We talked about spinach earlier. They are a bit slippery. And then as far as cheese, we need to be aware of saturated fat, but I like to add like a little bit of grated Parmesan. And then I'll add a little bit of olive oil, and you can use vinegar, but in a second, I'll show you what else I add. But this is just olive oil. And I love croutons as well, but I don't eat them all the time. It's okay to have them, but also just watch your portion sizes. In lieu of croutons, you can use pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds. Pumpkin seeds have a lot of protein and fiber in them. So this is something that I'll add to my salads for a crunch. You can think about adding walnuts to some salads as well. Those are a good source of heart-healthy fats, like omega-3s and vitamin B. For flavor, instead of using dressing, and not all people like to have fruits in their salad, I do. And again, blueberries are a great source of antioxidants. When I add less vegetables to my salad, sometimes I'll just put lettuce, a healthy source of protein, and some different fruits in the salad if I'm feeling dehydrated. You can also use some of these mandarin oranges as well. Again, just watch the portion. So again, instead of the dressing, I used some fruits, and then I'll mix this up later on. They have a nice blackened salmon today in their salad bar, and I'd like to try this, so I'm gonna put this in as a nice protein source. Salmon is a great source of omega-3 fatty acids and some of the vitamins that are heart healthy. The recommendation for seafood is 2 times a week. Again, when you're buying seafood, make sure that it's lower in saturated fat. Another item that I might have tried today was the farro salad. It's very good. The problem is I have an allergy to the cheese that's in it, but the way they've done it, if you're not feeling too good, this is a great source of protein, fiber, and healthy vegetables. These are fingerling potatoes. These are one of my favorite. I know a lot of people like to think about a low-carb diet, but we all need starch in our diet. And potatoes are healthy. They have a lot of vitamins and minerals in the skin. So again, if you're thinking about making like a herbed dip or something, these are good to eat with that. You can season them on your own, but this is something that's prepared if you're tired. This is the unseasoned chicken breast. So you could take this and add some tzatziki that they already have prepared. Let it marinate for a couple hours and either bake it again or cook it in the skillet. The yogurt will tenderize this a little bit more and make it easier to eat. So this is poached salmon. It's already cooked, but again, remember we talked about salmon being a good source of protein and heart-healthy fats. So if you're not feeling too good, this already is seasoned. You can see the lemon that's in here. So you would just take it home and reheat it. These are some grilled vegetables. And again, this is a great resource if you're undergoing cancer treatment. You will obtain hydration from the zucchini. And the peppers are a great source of vitamin C. These have very minimal seasoning. So again, you can add this to any meat dish or anything that you're cooking. This area is great because all of these vegetables are good for you, and you essentially would get all of your vitamins and minerals from this if you were to put a salad together. So you're seeing basically a rainbow of color. You see the purple in the cabbage, broccoli, the gut microbiome. That's a great vegetable for that. Here you have the mint that we talked about earlier, which is great to add in things that you're trying to hydrate. It also calms the stomach. And then you have the carrots, you have parsley and dill that we talked about that helps to calm the stomach down. In this area, there's a lot of pre-cut and prepped vegetables, or you see a combination of different vegetables. So again, if you're feeling a little bit tired, you can pick something like this up. For example, these stir-fried vegetables would last one person 2 or 3 days. So another good resource at many grocery stores. Nuts are actually a good source of nutrients. Walnuts, for example, are a good source of those heart-healthy fats, the omega-3 fatty acids that we hear about all the time. So you can add these to your salads or have it on hand for a snack. Say that you have fruits and a little bit of healthy cheese and some crackers. Pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds are another excellent source of protein and fiber. So I usually have these on hand at home. For example, this pumpkin seed, one serving has 9 grams of protein and 2 grams of fiber in it. So this is one of my favorites to add to salads. Raw sunflower seeds, again, another great source of protein. And this one also has 9 grams of protein and 3 grams of fiber per serving. Generally, we recommend consuming these in unroasted, unsalted form because the nutrition value is a little bit better. But, again, I'd rather that you guys try things like this than not try them at all. Pine nuts are used a lot for pesto recipes. Almonds are a good go-to for me if I don't have time to eat. I'll generally pack these in like a small cup just to have them on hand if I have a busy day with some fruit. A lot of times people ask us about meat and servings of meat on the grocery tour. The most common question is red meat. Remember, red meat is higher in saturated fat, which is not good for your heart. So the recommendation from the American Heart Association is 2 to 3 servings that are 3 ounces apiece. So anywhere from 6 to 9 ounces per week of red meat. We prefer that it is grass-fed beef. Other meats that people ask about are pork, which actually surprisingly is a healthier meat and it's lower in saturated fat. And chicken is another white meat, just like pork, which will be lower in saturated fat. When you're buying chicken, also make sure that it's grass-fed chicken. And also be careful because sometimes some of the packages have chicken that's injected with a lot of salt. And a lot of us need to watch salt in our diet. So just read the labels very carefully when you're buying meat items. So a lot of people ask us what they should be using for coffee. And typically we recommend getting either milk or a half and half that doesn't have any added sugar or artificial sweetener. There are some tricks. A lot of people like to have other coffee flavors. So in addition to adding the half and half and the amount of sugar that you may use, you can add cinnamon, you can add vanilla to your coffee and flavor it yourself. We would like to thank you for your time and attention today. For more information about our tours, you can check out the Komen website.